Ghana's 57th Independence Day celebration was extremely eventful today as scores of children were soaked in heavy rain as some collapsed and some needed to be evacuated in ambulances to hospital. So must school children be subjected to this endurance test like soldiers every year? Must we always march on Independence Day? This is today's big story. Well, the President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, was at the Independence Square to inspect the Guard of Honor, and to the amazement of millions of Ghanaians watching on television, he was totally drenched in rain as he inspected the Guard of Honor. Today marks Ghana's 57th independence celebration, and as a tradition, it scores of school children, the military, police and citizens from all walks of life gather at the Independence Square for a march. But this year's march was spectacular as heavy rains attempted to disrupt the event, but the soldiers on parade remained resolute and the children had no choice but also tag along.
We don't have much, we have about 20-25, but usually we have about 70 to 80 during the rehearsals. But I think today the weather is very cool for them, and I think we don't have much casualty as compared to the rehearsals periods.
Well, the question on today's big story is, must this always be so? Are these casualties fair on the children? We earlier spoke to Charles Addo, who is instructor of paramedics at the Ghana National Fire Service. Let's hear him again.
I think they are all okay now. Some have stomach pains and stomach ache, but we are able to revive them, so we don't have any serious casualty. Most of them, they feel cold, so we have to blanket them to feel warm. That is the only thing, but I don't think that is a serious problem. And I think they are from special school. Yes, that is where both of them from. Oh, when there is any further injury or something, they have to report at the clinic. That is what they have to do. They have to send them to a clinic, seek medical advice or medical attention. That is what advice we will give to them. Because now they are going home, we are not there, so we don't know what will happen. But if something happens, we have to refer them for medical attention.
Well, we're trying to speak with child rights expert Bright up here. We're still making frantic effort to reach him online, and then we'll be speaking to a public health person to give us a better understanding of what the children need to be told about the health implications when they go on a march like that. We'll also later on today's big story be bringing you footage of the president inspecting a guard of honor at the Independence Square, totally drenched. Is this the sight we want to cut out for Ghana? Meanwhile, the president says make every day a Made in Ghana day. That's what he's telling Ghanaians. But at what competitive quality, value addition and pricing on the global market so that the consuming driven Ghanaian would be wooed to buy and use? This is today's big story.
There is no reason why a significant number of the items that we import to use on a daily basis cannot be made right here in Ghana. Just as we purchase products that are proudly Italian, proudly Chinese, proudly Turkish, or proudly South African, there is no reason why we cannot manufacture goods that are proudly Ghanaian. If we are to be truly independent, we cannot allow our destiny to be determined by corporations, industries, or individuals who exist beyond our national borders. And that is precisely what we are doing when the majority of what we consume comes from outside. It is precisely what we are doing when all that we export are raw materials extracted from the earth. The days when our wealth, our very wealth, was based only on natural and mineral resources must be a thing of the past. Yes, it's true God has blessed Ghana richly with gold and bauxite and timber and now oil. But as I have said many times before and will continue to maintain, Ghana's greatest resource is its people. God has blessed us even more richly with talent, innovation, and industriousness. Let us use these God-given gifts to transform this great nation of ours. Many of our previous heads of state saw this potential that exists. This potential that will help us hasten the development of our nation, if only we will begin to place value on ourselves and on what we produce. And so on this occasion, I salute all my predecessors who have worked hard to bring us to this stage. The time has come for us to move Ghana to the next level, and we must work together to be able to achieve this. My brothers and sisters, as Dr. Kwame Nkrumah famously said, we face neither east nor west, we face forward. So in furtherance of these ideas and policies by presidents past, whose motivation it was to move our nation forward, I'm calling for every day to be made a Made in Ghana day. We should all continue with the practice of putting on national wear introduced by President Kufuor's government.
Well, at the rainy 57th Independence Anniversary Parade this morning, the president encouraged Ghanaians to go a step further in wearing Ghana-made clothing on Fridays as introduced by President Kufuor and extend such patriotism to all Ghanaian products. And I'm now joined on the line by President of the Private Enterprise Foundation, Nana Osei Bonsu, who will talk to me about whether this is the way forward for Ghana. Good evening, and thanks for joining us on today's big story.
Yeah, good evening, sir. My title is actually Chief Executive, not President.
Yes, sir.
There's a chairman, and the name is Private Enterprise Federation. It's been changed.
Thank you very much, Private Enterprise Federation.
If you can speak up a little, I can hardly hear you.
So thank you very much for joining us, sir. So the president wants us to buy Made in Ghana. President wants every day to be a Made in Ghana day. Is this feasible? I mean, considering how much the Ghanaian consumer is used to a certain quality and a certain standard.
Well, let me first congratulate Ghanaians on the 57 years of independence. If the president has said that, I didn't have the privilege of watching the parade and listening to the president's speech. But if he said that, that's very laudable, being the number one cheerleader for patronage of Made in Ghana goods. And you ask the question, is it feasible? Yes, it's feasible if we provide the necessary tools and for Ghanaian businesses and producers to produce at the competitive world levels. So if you have the tools, let's take the case of shoemakers or furniture. If they have the right tools, they should be able to compete and provide the finish that Ghanaians are used to. You know, let me take this, the president's word, patronage of Ghanaian made goods. Let the presidency, let the government set the lead with government purchase of all office furniture from Ghanaians, all government office furniture, including the president's office. And how do we do that? Provide them with the tools by creating the financial muscle that they get when they produce at the quality level. They would be paying back the facility from the proceeds of what they do. So it's feasible, but we have to have the right parameters, the right tools, and the right support in place. So I think it's achievable.
Right. I'll still have you hold, sir, and then I'll go to the Ghana Standards Authority, where we have Kofi Amponsa-Bediako, the Public Relations Officer, joining us also. So, sir, good evening, and thanks for joining us on today's big story.
Good evening.
Now, made in Ghana products, I mean, how do they compare to the numerous imported products that Ghanaians consume every day?
Well, let me explain first of all that standards are in grades, but you need a minimum standard to be able to produce in a country. So internationally, even though there are different levels of standards, every national standard sets the minimum level below which the quality cannot go. If the quality goes below the minimum level, then it becomes unacceptable. So if you take a look at our national standard, it sets up a standard, a minimum level by which all products should measure. And so long as you satisfy that minimum level, it becomes suitable to be purchased by anybody. So made in Ghana products are good. Made in Ghana products are good, but some of those that are substandard or far below the minimum level are those that are not made to obey the standard, and that is why you find some of them like that. But any product that meets the minimum standard is good.
So let's take, for example, rice. I mean, why would I buy Ghana grown rice if I have, for example, a Thai rice and it's affordable and it's well packaged and the quality is high?
Well, when you come to standard with regard to rice, there are many parameters you need to use. Even the way you dry it, the moisture content should be such that it can stay for a very long time. Apart from that, modern taste is becoming more sophisticated than ever before. So the product itself must be decorated and made to look nice. And that is where perfume rice, that is where stores will have to be removed to make sure that it becomes attractive. Packaging should be well done to make it more attractive to consumers. So the product may be very good, like the chocolate in Ghana, very good, far better than those produced in foreign countries in Europe and America. But just because of the label, the way it's packaged, shiny materials used in the packaging, they tend to attract people elsewhere more than our own chocolate, even though we know that it's okay. So packaging is important, but I think that is where many Ghanaian producers will need to work on so as to ensure that the quality of products match with the kind of packaging materials that they use for their products.
Right. So, I mean, the question is that why is it that on a daily basis, on a regular basis, Ghanaians have not cultivated the attitude of consuming their own, and that day in and day out, I mean, the presidents have to remind citizens that it's good to consume one of your own? Why is it so?
Well, I think Ghanaians know their problems. We know our problems, except that we are refusing to recognize it. That is the most unfortunate aspect. The call on us to patronize made in Ghana goods didn't start today. It started years and years back. But you see, the problem with the Ghanaian is that he's living on a false sense of security. That once he or she consumes foreign products, it means that where he's living well, he's quite modern, he's sophisticated in terms of taste, when that is actually not the case. When your own country produces product and you consume it, you help your economy to expand.
Right.
Our CD has depreciated. The economy is facing challenges partly because we are not patronizing our product. So it will not come automatically, but producers and manufacturers put together will need to adopt a strategy to ensure that Ghanaians are conscientized to patronize their own products rather than consuming foreign ones.
Right, Ms. Ambassador, I'll still hold you and go back to the Chief Executive Officer of the Private Enterprise Foundation, who is still also on the line. So, sir, I mean, the question we're asking is that enterprises play a key role in ensuring that made in Ghana products are packaged, are made more attractive to the local market. Why is this not happening?
Well, as I said initially, the technical skills, the support system to be able to produce at competitive market levels, that has plagued the Ghanaian industries. So if, and I like what the gentleman from Standards Board said regards to the basic standards that are made. But the most important standards are what the consumer demands.
Yeah.
If you set standards low, high, medium, whatever, and the consumers don't patronize, they don't want it, it's not going to fly. So what you look for is what is acceptable to the consumers. Ghanaian consumers are used to certain levels. Can we produce at certain levels? Yes. Those levels that are world market levels and competitive came with support, came with the technical skills, which we don't have or have not gravitated or moved to scaled up to the levels. So what we're saying in all is, yes, indeed, Ghanaian consumers would like to patronize made in Ghana goods. We have to live up to their expectations and provide at the levels which are acceptable to them.
But are you providing at that level?
We're not providing at that level.
And what's making you unable to do so?
We don't have the necessary tools.
Okay.
Yes. And that is where I said I like what the president said. Being the citizen one and saying that we have to patronize, then he has to look at the parameters within which we can meet the standards demanded by the consumers. So if we get the support, the technical skills, the financial muscle, and all that, and I use government financial muscle as a standard, because if government were to tell all the furniture makers in Ghana, we would patronize anything you produce so far as it meets standards. We will provide with the financing. So once you meet the standards, we deduct the financing that we provided to you, and so you have an off-taker in government. Can you imagine the animosity or the volume of furniture that can be produced and what standards we can meet?
So have you ever made such representation or proposals to governments? It doesn't matter which government. I mean, the Private Enterprise Foundation has been in existence for a while. Have you consistently been pushing for more support, more funding, more technical support from government or institutions?
I think on numerous occasions we have made requests, and unfortunately, some of the recent missteps on government, considering the Bank of Ghana governance statements where a percentage were rescinded or clarified, and then the government's own executive directive on insurance. These missteps could be avoided if there's a dialogue between private sector and government. So when we have a dialogue and consultations, there's adequate flow of information as to left and right, which are the most feasible, which are the priorities, how do we effectuate private sector, scaling up and doing things. The last meeting we had with the presidency was July 2013. This is about 9 months ago. So there must be, the government has said that, the president has said that, let's come to the table and discuss how are we going to achieve the objective of getting the standards where Ghanaians are used to. We don't want Ghanaians to accept mediocre.
Welcome to the interactive segment, and Gladys is here. Gladys.
Yes, Steve.
It's 6th March.
Yes,
I
happy
like your
Independence
colors.
Day. Thank
Well,
you.
how should I respond? Happy Independence Day to
Same to you,
Same
probably.
to you. All right, so what's trending?
You know, the president today was soaked in rain.
It was serious, right?
Sure, and he actually said that the meteorological department should sharpen its skills. Well, they also have been getting back to the president, telling him that they have skillful personnel, but they lack resources to be able to meet the president's demand.
Well, let's hear what others have to say about it.
Sure, right. Okay. Thank you. So, happy 57th Independence Anniversary. Welcome to JN Interactive. Right, so we are talking independence today. Join this conversation via our social media platforms, facebook.com/joynews on TV. You could send a tweet to twitter.com/joynews on TV. The handles are at Joy News on TV and #JN Interactive GH. Email us via joynewsim@multitvworld.com. Tell us how you found the Independence Day commemoration at the Independence Square. Well, so like I'm talking about already, we are 57 years today since we gained independence on 6th March 1957. At 57, let's have some highlights of how the day turned out at Independence Square.
Freedom, Ghana, land of freedom, soils of the brave and the sweat of their labors, soils of the brave which have brought results. Kwame, the star of Ghana, Nkrumah, star of Ghana, everybody, toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors, toils of the brave which have brought results. Ghana, we now have freedom. Ghana, land of freedom, everybody, toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors, toils of the brave which have brought results. Gold Coast will thank Nananum and elders, late Gisli Hayford, Nelson Saba, Bagrant, Sergeant Ajete, and all who fought for freedom. Everybody, toils of the brave and the sweat of their labors, toils of the brave which have brought results.
Those were some highlights from the Independence Day celebration that happened at the Independence Square. So, soaked in rain, President Dramani Mahama has charged the Meteorological Service to sharpen its skills to predict the weather better. Surprised by sudden change in weather, the President pointed out at the Independence Square, we must sharpen our ability to be able to better predict the behavior of the weather in order to be able to adapt to it. Unquote. According to the president, although the meteorological department communicated the storm to the state protocol, it came a bit too late. Let's listen to the president.
But today's rainfall also tells us something. We have heard the word climate change mentioned over and over again. It has not been normal for rainstorms like this to happen at this time of the year, early in March. One would have thought that the Harmattan weather will still be in control. And so what it means, as we've often been told, is that we must implement climate change adaptability. It means that we must be better able to predict the weather. We did receive a storm warning from the Meteor Services, but we received it this morning a bit too late to put off this event. And so it means we must sharpen our ability to be able to predict how the climate and the weather is going to behave so that we can adapt to it.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Meteorological Agency, GMA, has fired back at the president, explaining the agency has very skillful workers, but they lack the necessary logistics and resources, as well as the motivation to deliver their mandate. He adds the agency cautioned the Greater Accra region against a rainy day early Thursday morning, and therefore the Ghana Meteorological Agency should not be blamed.
All stations whose email addresses we have, we mail to them, and others whose fax numbers we have, we fax this warning to them. Unique FM, they were their program this morning, they were making allegations that Meteor Services have not given warning and they should have done that, blah, blah, blah. But they've made me so annoyed.
We issued a warning earlier today. And this morning you communicated it to the government to be aware of the fact that it was going to rain this morning.
You know what we do is NADMO is our maybe main center where we fax all weather warnings to, even weather forecasts to.
Yeah, so Mr. Ajman, as far as the service is concerned, this was duly communicated to NADMO to be aware of the fact that it was going to rain.
Yes, and you can cross-check from NADMO if you like.
So how do you respond to allegation that you failed to do your work?
That would be that would be baseless. That would be baseless. That would be baseless. The one weather forecast we sent around 3 a.m. today. I'm just reporting to you. I'm here to check what we issued yesterday evening. But the 3 a.m. forecast we issued this morning clearly, stated it. And the weather warning we issued this morning also stated that. The weather will be variably cloudy and sunny over southern Ghana with isolated rain or thundery showers over mid-Volta, eastern region, and a coastal strip.
So that was the voice of Mula Chachusiame, Principal Meteorological Officer, Ghana Meteorological Service. All right, let's find out from you. Do you think the meteor warning came a bit too late? Were you surprised in any way? We've been seeking answers to this. So let's quickly get onto Facebook and see what you have been sharing with us. So Devlin says, ha ha ha, funny country. That's coming from Devlin. Abdul Fatal says, nobody is perfect. It is only God who knows. All right, and so let me quickly widen the screen. Okay. Maxwell Anefi says, well-spoken President, may the good Lord grant you the wisdom so that you can build up this nation, and the rain is the sign of victory and development, as the President indicated earlier on. Nanowusu Charles Sikapa says, aha, but I thought he said it's showers of blessings. Why does he tend to complain? In fact, this man is, well, are you sure? Maxwell Anefi says, despite our political affiliations, it is time people should respect the president. Well, so I believe that's an advice to Charles Sikapa. Do not insult the president, please, with all due respect. I agree. No matter what, you will not insult your father for his mistakes. Gabby Nathaniel says, there's power above all powers, indeed. Lillian Paul Stevenson says, but there are power in all powers, sure. Eddie Delali says, haha, the meteorological agencies are not soothsayers. Let's not. Well, they have facilities that works almost like soothsayers, so they know ahead of time. Arashi, the finest, says he won't sharpen his dead governance skills, always charging others. Ghana is dead. Nana Kofi J says the reign signifies that our independence is meaningless, so Mahama should wise up and really, I thought reign signified lessons. I see. Entry Isaac says he is actually referring to Maxwell earlier. Then why is he blaming the Meteo? All right. Amevo Justice says get them state-of-the-art equipment. Okay. Emmanuel Justice says enviness is a sign of weakness. Work hard and you can win also. Lazy, shallow-minded people are those who envy. Envious people are those who blackmail and backbite the diligent and prosperous ones. Campaign people. Who are you talking to, Emmanuel Justice? Martin Odamienchi says the need to resource. Davidson Brown says, yeah. Samora Uswe J says this year they are not well equipped. All right, because of the love of God, God has for the nation. Because the love God has for the nation, He wants to send His blessings to nations secretly. So do not blame the Meteo department for that. God's time is best. That's coming from Nodro Hope. Alexander Castro says they are not serious with their job. What meteorologist? Mipobi says, cheer. He should have bought them better equipment. Perez Ken says, who are there if God says rain? Blames. After all, it went well. Okay, that's not. Eddie Blink says lack of equipment and amenities. Burger Beer says it's not their fault. They don't have adequate training, so he should provide them with accurate tools to enable them read the weather well, Mr. President. Oakley Godfred says so. It rained everywhere. Okay. Emmanuel Kofi Kusi Zuma says let them off the hook, Mr. President. Obviously, there's more to talk about than this. Okay, it's Rosa says it's all blessings to the press. Okay, Nicholas Kobe says if the president himself fails his promises, why can't the predictions of the meteorological department fail? Mahama should stop the complaint. Ibrahim Ayub says to those blaming Mr. President, did the meteorologists complain about lack or inadequate materials for their service? Why can't we be serious for a minute in discussing direct matters affecting Mother Ghana? Happy Independence Day, all Ghanaians. Idris Kuvidana Hassan says, why worry? It's God's work. All right, so I'll continue with your Facebook comments, but quickly, let's find out from you. Do you think the meteor warning came a bit too late? Were you really surprised in any way? Well, we've been asking this question and seeking answers to them.
I'm not surprised, but you know, Ghanaians generally don't follow the updates of the Meteo Department. I think the prediction came after the clouds had gathered, and we all know that, you know, our Meteo Department is challenged. They have a lot of problems. The paucity of equipment, if you look at that situation, means that they will not be able to deliver to the max. So these things are bound to happen. They are likely to happen. But I think that it should be an opportunity for us to find ways of resourcing them and making them more efficient. Elsewhere, we have typhoons, we have severe weather conditions, and the Meteo departments are able to do a better job. I think that if we're able to resource our Meteo guys, they will be able to perform fantastic.
Well, I have not monitored them, but I'm told, and we spoke to them on Joy News this afternoon, and they made mention of the fact that they predicted long before the rains started. And I just monitored on Facebook and realized some people also had their prediction. And this is what Alberto Cran wrote on his Facebook wall, that I read the weather forecast several hours right here on Facebook. I noted the towns listed for rain between 7 and 10 a.m. including Accra. I monitored this morning. I monitored the rain this morning as it came through several hours ago. It is amazing how this whole Independence Day celebration. So what I'm just trying to say is that some people really monitored it, and we have the tendency of ignoring weather forecast. For once, if I'm watching news and it gets to that segment, I don't really pay so much attention to it. So I think we are a bit unfair to them, because some have confirmed they really heard it. And the fact that you didn't hear it doesn't mean they didn't do their job well. And the question I'm asking is, if we knew it was going to rain, were we going to call off the celebration?
Personally, I don't trust the weather forecast by the Ghana Meteo, because there have been instances I've listened to their news, but then it didn't happen as they reported. So I'm not so surprised it happened on this day. But then I'm very disappointed that even if they knew it would happen, at least they could have done something about it, because today is an Independence Day, and then people are watching all over across the world. So it is a big shame to us as a country.
I think it was the president who said they had a notice early in the morning, but it was too late to do anything about it. But even the information from the president has been denied by officers from the meteorological service, and their information is that they gave the notice quite early, I think last week. I am not in the position to say whether or not what they said is true, but it's quite what the issue the president raised is also very crucial, and I think it's about time that we strengthen the guys from the Meteo in order for them to be up and doing. But that is not to suggest that they are not on top of their job, because given what they have also said, it now depends on us to find out if indeed the notice was given much earlier, and what did we do with the notice. There are quite a number of times when they give us that notice, what we tend to do is to just brush it off. Many a times that's what happens. So we have to find out if indeed that was what happened in this case, or maybe the president had a notice and they also didn't take it serious.
Well, so at 57, do you think the African is capable of managing his own affairs? You have been speaking with us. Let's listen to you.
There is a new African in the world. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that, after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
I believe that we are capable of managing our own affairs. I know that there is some laxity in the system, but you see, we have to put our minds to it. We should know that our destiny belongs to us. We can change things. We are the change makers of our generation, and it's time for us to put our shoulders to the wheel and get things done. If we see the white man as, you know, the change maker, then we have a problem. We should take our own destiny into our own hands and then move on and see that whatever anybody will do for us will be a mere adjunct to our own efforts.
This is a very big question. No, I think no. Ghana is not an independent country. Yes, we are not directly managed by the whites, but indirectly we are managed by them, because we cannot produce stuff on our own. We depend so much on them. They come for the raw materials, take them back to their country, turn them into products, import it back to us. And I don't really see the independent aspect of us. We rely so much on foreign donors. We can't produce stuff on our own. Even when people produce stuff in the country, we don't even take them seriously. We don't trust ourselves when it comes to production. So how then do we say we are independent?
From 1957 to now, we have been managed by the black person who is the president. We do a lot of the things ourselves. We still have problems, but that is not to say we are not capable of managing our own affairs. Sometimes the mistake we make is that we look only to the leaders, the president, the ministers, the MPs, and assume that if they are failing, it means all of us are failing. But if we want to sit down and look at them to define how successful we are as a country, we'll never get anywhere. For instance, the president talked about this African wear patronizing made in Ghana goods. And we have about 25 million Ghanaians. If 12 million of us get dedicated to wearing African prints, the question is, how many jobs will we not be creating for people in that industry alone? Will our textile industries be collapsing? So I think it's a whole kind of mindset. Yes, we are capable of doing it. We have not had the leadership we need to drive that development agenda of our continent, of our country. But I think to be able to get those leaders, we need to get responsible followers.
Of course, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that we as Africans are capable and ready to manage our own affairs. We've had some leadership problems in the past, and I think if our leaders are able to sit up and put our priorities right, there is no way we are unable to handle our own affairs.
Right, so those are some answers to whether we are capable of managing our own affairs. Let's see what you have been telling us on Facebook. Spy Joe Asan says, we have some important sectors in this country that we need to pay special attention to, but rather we use our money on useless things, which will not profit the nation in any way. This is a wake-up call to the president. When he is not affected, then he will not make any comment about it. But this time that he was affected directly, he does make comments and condemns the work they are doing. Funny president. Well, Silva Davis says he did not condemn their work. He wants to be more efficient, which is wise of him to have noted that we need more human and material resources in the meteorological service to be able to inform us in time with the weather. Also, showers of blessings, I think there is going to be a new turnaround for Mother Ghana if we work hard. Alexander Insia says, God alerting Mahama to be serious and up and doing and stop his empty promises and lies to us. Afelete Benjamin says, Ghana cried due the poor way she is governed by babies with teeth. Laticracy Amuyao says, I was expecting heavy Aprana, okay, Aprana is lightning, but God in his own wisdom chose only rain. When you trick the people, God will strip you. We are in mad times, so don't blame the you, whatever. Nuruddin Mohammed says, it's good initiative, but they are not God. Okay, so it is again. President Mahama should know that the weather is too hot and Ghanaians can't sleep in their rooms, even reflecting in our pockets. Well, so the Nakofieti says, God knows best. We have nothing to celebrate. And Nuruddin says, why all these hypocrisy and double standards about this rain? In Ghana, we all see rain to be a sign of blessing. Why is this one different? I think the meteorological service should in their prediction. Well, so thank you so much. This has been the Independence Day edition of JN Interactive. Steve, had they known the rain was coming in good time, what would they have done?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but it has been a rainy 57th Independence Day, and I don't know. Anyway, but at 8 o'clock, we'll bring you more of that. John Dramani Mahama has charged Ghanaians to promote Made in Ghana brands in order to foster deeper patriotism and nationality amongst the citizenry. So he was speaking at the Independence Day celebration in Accra. We'll bring you more of that.
And we also tell you about a fire which has gutted parts of the boys' dormitory of the Laura Senior High School at Laura in the Upper West region. The fire, suspected to have been caused by an electrical fault whilst the students were at prep, destroyed property worth thousands of Ghana cedis. So, well,
And the 2012 presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, has assured the party's supporters he will soon communicate his decision on taking another shot at the flag bearer slot after consulting the Council of Elders. Nana Addo made the call when some party executives called on him at his residence when he arrived from London. So that's all for today's interactive segment. My name is Stephen Enti.
My name is Gladys Osei Oreid. You have the best of the evening.
And thanks for staying with us.